Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Weekly Poker Showdown brought to you by Party Poker. I'm your host, Jaime Staples, and this week we get to talk with Andrew Neeme, the pioneer of vlogging on YouTube. He wasn't the very first to do it, but he took it to new heights. He brought Casey Neistat's style into the poker world and did it with his own spin. Incredible journey to see his channel start up and just take over the poker world and really lend a light to a type of poker we don't often see on YouTube, or we didn't see previous 3 years ago. So it was a great conversation with him talking about his poker career and sort of why he started to vlog and the way that he vlogs. And so yeah, we talk a lot of stuff in poker. I think you're going to like the conversation. But before we get into that, let's get to some of the online poker news. This weekend in the Sunday Major news, we have a player by the name of Jungleman Dan. No, I'm not talking Jungleman Dan Cates. This is an imposter. It is not related to Dan Cates, but had an incredible result this week as well in the Party Poker Big Game. So we first saw Jungleman Dan's success back in November. He won the Party Poker Million on November 25th for $153,000, and he impressively went on to take down the big game on the very same day for $105,000, which is incredible. I mean, $258,000 in those two huge events. That's pretty crazy. So this time around, the player found a win in the Party Poker Million worth $135,000, while incredibly, he also finished fifth in the big game on the same Sunday for $31,000 to cap a remarkable few Sundays at the Party Poker Felt. I mean, that is crazy. Wins the Party Poker Million, wins the big game, wins the million again, and fifth in the big game. This guy's doing something right. I know who this is. They're doing something right. I need, hey, I'm going to hit you up. I need to learn some things. Congratulations to the alias Jungleman Dan. Team Party Poker's Anatoly Filatov booked a fifth-place finish in the same big game for $27,663. Congratulations. Elsewhere, well-known pro Simeon Mattsson of Sweden triumphed in the 1K Sunday warm-up 8-max over on PokerStars for $29,806, where Team Party Poker's Patrick Leonard finished a fifth-place finish worth $10,851. Let's head over now to some of the live poker news. Just this past week, Christopher Pewitz was crowned the WPT Germany main event champion. German player banked 270,000 euros for the win, plus a $15,000 seat at the season-ending Tournament of Champions event. Pewitz topped a field comprising 510 entries to take the title in Rosvadov, and the 23-year-old has only been playing poker for 2 years and defeated Hungary's Laszlo Papai, heads up, who collected $174,500 for their effort. WCP main event champion Hussein Ansan was vying for the last piece of the prestigious Triple Crown Jigsaw, but departed in seventh for 40,000 euros. I had a chance to check out some of this tournament this past Sunday on Twitch. Really awesome coverage. Some great work they're doing in Rosvadov, and I think some really good events coming up this year for Party Poker Live that are going to be streamed on Twitch. So quick plug for my platform, my home base, Twitch. Drop by partypoker.tv or twitch.tv/partypoker. Check out some of the events coming out there this year. Joining me on the podcast this week, we have I don't even know how to really intro you, Andrew, because you started a category of poker. I mean, there was a few people creating vlogs, right, about poker, but you kind of took it to a place that it'd never been before. You kind of brought Casey Neistat, but in a Andrew Neeme sort of way where it was smooth and just calm and like you're on a vacation, to poker videos, man. So like, you are a huge part of our industry today. I'm very excited to talk with you. Andrew Neeme, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jamie. The one of the nice guys in poker. I like to think of you as, it's just usually or always drama free, and just one of the friendly faces that we have in poker today.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I do my best. So I have a lot I want to bring up to you because you do a lot in poker, but let's start with just pure poker before we get into your YouTube pursuits. I want to know, like, what is the Andrew Neeme origin story? How did you find yourself playing the game before you started creating videos about the game?
Found myself very much fish Andrew Neeme in the game. We all start in the same place. We all start as a recreational player. And I started when a lot of people started, product of the moneymaker boom. So I started online. Online player pools it was one big pool back in the day. And this was, I guess, around 2004, 2005 when I first hopped in there.
Okay.
Yeah, probably 04. 04.
That's OG. I mean,
I mean, Yeah, but it's also like there's people that grow up like playing cards with their families and their grandmas and stuff like that, or their
Right.
friends. They have home games, but I never really did that. I didn't really have a home game with friends or anything. But it was all over television. Tournaments were massive. Online poker was very accessible, and I got in there and just played very recreationally, off hours and weekends and things like that. And this was just after I finished college, basically, and was living in Los Angeles. I was working, and I was playing poker occasionally, but maybe slightly poking around with online forums and reading about the strategy and how you can improve and do better for
Right.
yourself and move up in stakes and all these things.
Were you a 2+2
So
warrior when you first started? Was that the forum, or were you somewhere else?
I I found 2+2 a little bit intimidating or overwhelming. So I
Right.
was hanging out on Full Contact Poker, which was Negreanu's site.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, mostly lurking, but occasionally posting a hand or two, and then reading what there was a bunch of good players on that site posting stuff all the time, and just reading about their hands and their thought processes, and kind of slowly started to do better. My job was kind of winding down as the economy slowed down later in that decade, and at the same time, poker definitely not slowing down, and not for me either. Just kind of ramped it up.
Amazing. There it is. So, when you kind of decided like this is going to be a thing I can do, what was going through your mind when you took that leap? I always want to hear people's mindsets going from like a normal job to like, holy smokes, like this is what I do now. The social pressure, like your friends, your family finding out, like going through those first downswings. Like just take me through some of that.
Yeah, well, the thing is that, I mean, I guess I kind of did it what's probably the best way that you can do it. It was kind of like a slow ramp up in poker while the job was kind of slowing down. So, like I mentioned, the economy was kind of slowing down. I was working in music industry, and the last company I was at was supposed to have, one or two projects that were deemed my projects that I was going to work on, and a couple of things ended up not happening. And it just kind of slowed down and became a part-time job, which meant that recreational poker became a part-time job. And then the actual job became freelance instead of part-time, which meant more time for poker. And so I think that's kind of the way, people ask me, when they're debating about getting into poker or, more into poker or taking it at a professional level. They ask me, how do you know when you should make that leap, or, just how do you go about that process? And I always say that you should play in your off hours and on the weekends and things like that. And, keep the job, keep your expenses as low as possible, have the income from your job, and put in a bunch of hours and slowly try and improve in poker and try and ramp that up. And that's pretty much what happened. So I started, I built up a decent, little role playing online poker. Started in small stakes and slowly went up through the stakes up to like 5-10 online. Granted, I don't think I can beat 5-10 online these days, but this is a different time period we're talking about. and so yeah, I think it wasn't quite a shock to the system as you might envision. But yeah, I think I'm also pretty lucky to have parents that are pretty open-minded about these things, and they will say things like, "We just want you to be happy, give it a shot." But on the inside, they also might be terrified at the same time. But at least they didn't tell me as such. I'm sure my friends also had their conversations when I wasn't around, but no, they didn't call me crazy to my face either.
So your intro story is pretty remarkable because almost no one has that story to poker. Like you had a degree, right? And you were working in a career and slowly transitioned like smoothly with your bankroll. It seems like everyone that is around today just like kind of was like 18 to 22 and just like, oh, okay, I'm just going to try this. And then it just stuck,
Sure.
and it became their obsession. So I find it really amazing that like the practice what you preach is like actually how you got into the game. It's like the guidelines pros give today is what you did to get to where you are, because that's not
Right,
that's
sure.
not usually how it works.
Yeah, that's also, but it's also like it's not to say that it wasn't without tons of struggle. And then so after, I left, I had stopped the actual job and was playing poker, and then moved to Vegas. And I was winning in the games, I'm sure, but also probably made pretty much every mistake that a professional poker player could make at the time. A guy in his late 20s, single, moving to Las Vegas, poker player lifestyle. Spun my wheels for a long time, and it wasn't just like, smooth sailing, winnings all the time.
Right. Okay. It leads me to one of my questions. I asked Negranu. I'm curious. So let's transport you back, right? You're $15,000 in this hypothetical world. You don't have any job. You also don't have any family or any connections. So you're just completely free. 15,000. You love poker with your whole heart, and you want to play live poker for a living. What would you do in this alternative universe? Like, what would be your steps?
You mean like in this year, 2020?
Yeah, like you can move wherever you want. You can play whatever stakes you want. Just like design a life.
I I think like such a massive portion of making sure that you are able to get out of the low stakes is keeping your expenses as low as possible. So it depends where this hypothetical person's parents live, because I would say live with your parents until you can at least double that bankroll, I would say. If you cannot do that, hopefully you can find a couple of friends to live with, and live basically the entry level lifestyle where you are sharing an apartment, and it's not super glamorous. You're just like a foot soldier. You're just on the grind. And there's a few places. Vegas is okay for like the low stakes, like 1-3 and 2-5 isn't bad. So I guess that's a reasonable option, and the cost of living here is pretty low, and it can be a pretty fun place to live. Granted, you don't want to be utilizing all those options of ways to have fun here. Like I said, you're supposed to be on the grind for the most part. So I mean, it's not bad. It's once you start getting into poker levels above that, it gets a little bit not great. But there's other options too. There's so much poker all over the country now, where like there's so many casinos in Florida. California is I think some of the best poker. The living expenses are obviously much higher though. So if you can somehow find a living situation where those expenses are minimized in California, that's ideal. Texas, another great option. I don't know if there's one destination, one ideal spot that I would direct that person to, but wherever you can place yourself to keep your expenses at a bare minimum is the spot.
Right. It's interesting because it was kind of like similar to my start in poker. I was living at home with my parents for like the first 4 years, and sort of like attending classes every once in a while as an excuse. And the 1-2 game at my home casino in Lethbridge, Alberta, I think is the best 1-2 game I've ever played around the planet. Like, it's $500 deep. It's a great group of people. I feel like I'm just meeting all my friends, and then aunts and uncles and grandparents and grandmas. And it's just like, you're just chatting. But, you play like 1K pots, with Farmer Joe that just came in to play a little poker in the afternoon. He's just rolling on hay bales of money. Like, he loves it. So I would travel to like Vegas, like you mentioned, to go to the World Series at the beginning, and, go to bigger cities. But it's just like, man, the gold mine was right in my hometown. I think I wanted that excitement of going to the big spots, the hype spots, because it seemed like that's what you're supposed to do. But
sure. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that like there's so many people with that mindset that want to be here, and as a result, there's a lot of people that take poker seriously. Vegas, there's also like a lot of the locals. They're part-time. A lot of the people that you see at the poker table are locals / part-time poker players, and the way that they've adapted to the constant like tourism turnover is to just play very solid and patient and a nitty game. So, oftentimes the games here are not as fun as they could be in other locations. So, my buddy Brad, he says, why not just go to there's so much poker in all these other places. Why not just go to where these people live and play all the time? Just play with them. So often that's a much better option.
That's smart. I like his thinking on that. That's good. If you had to choose like a best game that you've played, because we're going to talk about your meetup games in a second, but you've played poker in a lot of spots. Where do you think the most action fun game is to play that you've been?
Yeah, I think it's a toss up between California and Texas right now. With these membership clubs that are available in Texas now, it sort of centralizes a lot of people. Granted, there's a lot of these clubs now that have opened up, but rather than having all these, tons and tons of home games, now there's a few spots where people can go to, and it's still pretty early days for that sort of a thing in Texas. And there's cities that have a lot of people with a lot of money in Texas. So when you have that combination of things, it's similar to Los Angeles. There's so many people there that have a lot of money, and a lot of the money that's in LA is from cash businesses. And, there's lots of people with shops, and there's lots of people that have gambling in their blood. It's sort of just like the culture in California. So that's another combination of things that makes for really good poker games. So yeah, I think those two locations are still, I don't know which one is one and which one is two, but I think those are my top two picks. But, there's so much action and so many games to be found when we go to the East Coast, like Maryland. We just got back from MGM Springfield. There's Florida, as mentioned. So there's some good locations, but my top two, California and Texas.
There's something so nostalgic about Texas, and I've only been there once, but my idea of poker originating around Texas Hold'em and like stories of Doyle Brunson and like the Wild West, like I'm a little bit jealous that I'm not just posted up in Houston right now and pulling up at games and playing. It just sounds like a lot of fun, man. So next time in the US, I'm going to have to check that out. See some of those membership rooms.
Yeah, I would. There's like I said, there's so many games and so many of these. There's a bunch of rooms now, and no shortage of action. So like when we go to Austin, we've been going to a place called the Texas Card House down in Austin, and it's the 5-5 game, which sounds kind of low-ish stakes, but it's uncapped, and so people are buying in for thousands. And there's lots of straddles, and they love the bomb pot thing. It's like just a part of the regular game. Like every dealer change, they do a $25 per person bomb pot, and it gets pretty crazy.
The bomb pot. So for anyone that doesn't know, bomb pot is like where everyone puts in a set amount of money pre-flop, and then you deal out cards, and then you start the hand at a flop. So there's like, $200 or $500 in the pot before the play is even on. Where did this come from? Because it wasn't a thing when I started playing 10 years ago.
Right.
And now it's like bomb pots are the bomb. Everyone wants to play bomb pots.
Yeah, the online audience the online poker audience might not be familiar. They don't have these online yet, do they?
No.
I think it might have started either in like Reno or Sacramento. Somebody came up with this idea. I feel like I played with somebody who said that they were in the original game where they came up with this idea and they started it. But I don't know. I don't know who exactly to give credit to. But then, once we put it in the videos. I don't know if I saw it at Live at the Bike as well, but we had him in the meetup games. Thought it'd be fun to introduce it as part of the social, less grindy aspect that can be the meetup game sort of scene. And once it gets into the YouTube videos, that's the distribution platform that is YouTube. Off it goes.
Yep, absolutely. I want to get into those meetup games, but I have one more question about poker. Again, for the people that are sort of newer in their poker journey. So what do you think is the biggest mistake that you see new players making when they are either picking up poker as a hobby? So let's go for the ultra beginner route in like playing a hand, but then also like being serious about it too, maybe going pro or as like a serious hobby. What are the two mistakes that those player groups make?
I think that poker is one of these things where you really don't know what you don't know. And so it's pretty easy to become, cocky about it. And, I get the occasional message where it's just like someone is talking in very like, I don't know if like esoteric is the right word, but just, talking about like how they feel like they know all the moves, they know all the plays, they feel like they know when to bluff and when not to. But
Right.
they're talking in like very like general terms and not talking about anything specific when it comes to ranges and stuff like that. And so I think they underestimate um, the studying aspect and different things that you can do. Granted, there's like, there's all these different ways to go about studying now. There's training sites or coaching or what have you, and different people will react to different things. But there's just so much information available now, especially No Limit Hold'em, and very easily at your fingertips, that people definitely take it for granted when they're getting started. And I would say not putting in that sort of work. And I think I did the same thing. I mean, like I said, I was reading forums, and back then, granted, there wasn't as much information as readily available. But I don't think I'm trying to think if I had a card runners membership back in the day. I don't think so. So,
I was a
just stuff
Deuces
like that.
Cracked, guys, but the Card Runners was always like, I'd get a free membership somehow through some rakeback scheme or something. I'd check it out every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think being a little bit too bold about that, or not putting in the work, that's probably a pretty standard mistake. And then the other one I always come back to is just not realizing how much you have to look after your expenditures and treat it like a business and keep all those as low as you can.
Right. That makes sense. One sec. I had something in my head. It'll come to me. I wanted to ask on that. Oh, man. I really wanted to know your answer too. It's all right. We can come back to it.
We could circle back and patch it in.
Yeah, it's fine. But let's get into vlogging a little bit here, because I think fair to say, like, your poker career, you really gained a lot of notoriety as a cash game player. I mean, it's tough for a cash game player to gain notoriety in the poker world, but you started these vlogs on YouTube that like took the poker world by storm. Like they happened. And there was a few people doing vlogs. Trooper was doing vlogs. I think he was doing good things. I was doing like sort of lifestyle, not really poker hand vlogs as a poker player. There's a few people out there. But then you came up with these videos, and I mean, I compare them to Casey Neistat because I love his content. And
I compare them to him as well.
Yeah, some similar themes, like the drone shots and the music and the establishing shots, right? And the slow-mo, just like everything that he did. You brought that to poker, but then you brought your personality with it. And it was like we had the WPTs of old, or the EPTs, or the World Series of Poker, but from a first-person perspective with a human being. Like, that was really the first time we had that. So I think, honestly, we'll look back at this time as a monumental thing in the progression of poker. I just think it's so important. So why did you decide to do this? Like, what went through your head? Like, okay, I play cash games. Like, I'm going to start making these mini films about playing cash games.
Yeah. Well, I thought that the videos, they would just kind of make sense. And, for a couple different reasons, both for me and for the audience. As far as like why I made them about cash games, I made them about cash games because that was what I was playing. I've played like so few tournaments for somebody who's like been playing poker for like 10 or 11 years now. I haven't cracked the 5-digit mark or the 6-digit mark on my Hendon mob. It's still under 100K.
Yeah.
Which hopefully we'll get over that hump this year. But anyway, so I was on the grind. This was probably about 8 years into just playing cash games. At this point, just 5-10 player, not like not the best 5-10 player, but doing okay in the 5-10 games around Vegas. And I think just needed a little bit of a change. I think I was missing a little bit of creativity in my life. So I had seen what, as you mentioned, Casey Neistat was doing on YouTube, and he also just talked about the way that the platform was just like the best distribution platform that there was, as far as like creating something and connecting immediately with an audience and not having to wait for someone, to give you permission to do your thing and to connect with people. And you didn't need producers. You're your own producer. You're your own creator, and you could just do it, and off you go. So, it was a combination of like that. There was also like a very, like, I think there was a lack of poker media attention focused on sort of everyday games and everyday stakes at the time. So like, you mentioned there's things like WPT, WSOP, even like the WSOP, they would focus on like the main event. Usually at this point, that's $10,000 buy-in. So like, we get a lot of entries in that tournament, but then again, like that's like a dream level for a lot of people to be able to play that stake.
Like once a year kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, at the same time, there's also like all these people that are playing, almost daily, playing, either 1-2, 2-5, or maybe even smaller, just playing like home games with friends and stuff. And, that portion of the audience isn't really, there's no content that's like created with a sort of like patient level where you're walking, street by street in a hand. And sharing the thought process and how like a professional might walk through these poker hands at the stake level that they're playing. So combination of like those things, a little bit of maybe like a hole in the market, combined with me 8 years of just playing cards and maybe like, feeling like I was missing something a little bit personally and just wanting to try it. I wasn't like, sure that this was going to be the thing that I was, doing 3 years later and it would win awards, or whatever. But if it didn't work out, then I guess on to the next, whatever, back to playing cards and then maybe try something else. Because I had started doing the Instagram thing. I was, I gave myself a challenge to post something on Instagram one time a day for an entire year. And so I think that like, gave me a little bit of a stepping stone into the blog where it was like a creative jolt, or that was what it was meant to be every single day. And, if the blog didn't work out, then I would try something else. But I guess they caught on.
I think it's a really good idea because we see people on Twitch do that all the time. I remember when Tonka started streaming, Tonka P, I mean, he said the same sort of thing, like, I need some motivation or some flair to keep doing this. And that's why he started creating. And I don't know for sure on Lex, but I think there was some of that there with him as well, sort of reinvigorated his poker career and like took him to new heights, essentially. So I think it's so cool that poker pros that have a ton of experience and might be a little bored just get into the creative aspect. Like, it helps the game. It's a lot of fun. I can attest, like, it's a really enjoyable, it's a completely weird, different challenge to create streams or vlogs or YouTube videos compared to just playing poker. It's very different, but it's still the game we love. So I really like that.
Yeah, I don't think it's interesting. There's so many different people that find their way into poker, for one reason or another. And I think the people that end up doing the best, they probably have, like a deep love for strategy games or, game theory, and things like that. But there's other people that find their way into the game for other reasons. And maybe they find that poker isn't everything that, maybe it doesn't fulfill them 100%. And that's fine. It doesn't like take away from the people who it does fulfill. And, everyone's different. So, I think some of us fork off into the creative side of it while still playing poker and enjoying it on a different level. And I guess it's interesting to see what different people end up doing.
Does that creativity manifest itself in your game, do you think? Do you think you're unorthodox in ways, or you come up with different lines than other people based on that creative trend in your life?
I think the only way that shows up is that, Yeah, I think maybe a couple of different things. I don't know. I think I probably over the years have been like kind of stationy, especially on the river. That's like kind of
Mm,
the probably the biggest like specific game leak. And I think I just like am a little bit creative and want like the end to the story. And if I
right.
don't get the end of the story, then it's like, well, this is how do I ever get closure on this? You
Yeah.
know? And it's just obviously not like a very game theoretical view as to what you're supposed to do in these situations, but I guess I look at it that way. I want I want to know what happens at the end of this story, and so I got to find out.
So
Um,
the moral of the story is that creativity is probably bad for your poker game. Is that what you're saying?
Probably, yeah, probably. I mean, just folding sucks. It's like the story gets cut off like before the end of it. Like it doesn't matter what
Yes.
street it happens, pre-flop, on the flop, turns. Like let's see this thing to the end and see how this plays out.
I think we need universal rabbit hunt. That is the answer to this. You can even charge a fee, like $1 to the dealer for the rabbit hunt. Perfect. We can end those
It
stories.
should it should go into the pot probably. And I think I would be down with that, but the problem is that like there would be a lot of I think the pros wouldn't like it because the curious recreationals would be able to just fold and then
Yeah,
see what happens for cheaper.
that's true.
So it would have to go into the pot, but I don't know. We can figure it out.
So since you started making videos 3 years ago, was there any like innovations in your videos or turns that really stand out? Of like, oh wow, that's a really cool idea, and kind of changed your format.
Uh, I don't wouldn't say the format. I think it's been like I think probably a pretty similar format to my videos since the early ones, where it's like there's kind of it's kind of like a three-part story, and there's we set up the day or the weekend or whatever the video captures at the first part of the video, sort of talk about like what happened recently or what's been happening, or what's going to happen today, what I'm going to go do, and then usually there's a poker session in the middle, and talk about the poker hands, and then at the end of it, wrap it up with maybe some sort of like lesson that we learned or things I want to try and do going forward, something of that nature. The poker hands, they always like there's so many different stories that can develop from poker hands themselves,
Yeah.
and they definitely like each one is a story, like kind of like what I was talking about, but um, the sessions kind of like tell a story of the day, and I've sort of I guess I've sort of kept that structure to the videos throughout the life of the vlog. There might be like something I introduced, like a drone, that wasn't at the very beginning. I eventually got that into the mix,
Yeah.
so that was fun to fly that over casinos and have people tell me I can't do that here or there.
Yeah. I think I remember
Um,
the first one. It was in the desert. I'm pretty sure I remember watching the first drone shot. I was like, oh, here we
yeah,
go.
yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, it's funny, like the all that creative stuff. It's all like it's always a mystery as to whether people are going to be into it, and it's so subjective, right? Like the poker hands are the anchor for these videos. The poker itself is the anchor. It's what if you go into my YouTube analytics, you can see the retention number. You can see that most people watch for the hands,
Right.
and the numbers drop off. You can see it like it drops off speed. People fast forward to the poker hands. The graph goes up. They watch through the poker hands. As soon as the hands are over, bam,
Yeah.
falls
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
People are on to the next video.
Yeah.
So it's like, but the thing is that like I enjoy all that stuff. The poker hands, I almost view them as a commodity where people can get poker hands in so many different locations,
Yeah.
but the rest of the video is like it's just me. It's like it's my stuff. It's me like expressing myself.
Yeah. It
Um,
makes it a
and
Neeme
so
poker hand, right? It makes it your poker hand.
it
Um,
makes it yeah it makes it my production. It makes it like me expressing myself, and
yes.
I would just get too sick of it if I was only talking about poker hands. Just that's just me. I mean, I got into this vlogging thing because poker itself I thought was slightly lacking for me personally. So how can I just like only talk about poker in the production, like
Yeah.
how can I only talk about poker hands? Obviously I'm going to want to do some other things.
And I think most pros would probably be the same way as you. Like when I watch vlogs, I don't want to watch the poker hands because I play thousands of poker hands every day. I'm just like, I'm just tired of poker. Like I just want to see what's going on in Andrew's life, like what's happening, like the sights and the sounds. Like not that there's anything wrong with the analysis. It's just too much analysis overload of poker sometimes. So
Yeah, for sure. Like I wanted to see Jaime walking through the streets of Scotland or Edinburgh or something like that.
yeah,
Like that's pretty dope.
yeah, no, exactly. And I think Twitch, for that reason, kind of skews towards like newer players in a big way because the pros, like they don't want to hear other pros talk about poker hands. They're just like, well, yeah, but I do the same sort of stuff. So I think I think there's something there, something to be explored.
Yeah, it makes sense though. It's like, there's the people who play poker full time, or it's a very small number compared to the masses who don't get as much time to play poker as they would like. So they crave that. They want to be in the driver's seat, which is like how that was like the vision for the vlogs. It was to put the viewer in the driver's seat. Like the camera is like right there on the table. When I win a pot, I drag the chips like into the camera basically.
Yeah.
And they're there at the table, and it's like their time that they get to be in Vegas, like playing poker in a sense.
Yeah. You're a genius, Andrew. You had such great vision, dude. You had such great vision. Let's talk about the YouTube Pokerpocalypse. I mean, we kind of coined that phrase in the summer, but it's kind of back. So I know you had a strike on your channel, right? And you were blocked from uploading for a week. Is that right?
Yep.
I lost my vlog channel, which has been sort of vacant for about 9 months. They put it back. So it seems like YouTube is at least listening and like fixing the strikes, right? But it's not putting back all the videos that have been taken down. Like some people have, their channel removed and it's put back, but the strikes are still there and they're still missing 8 videos. So it seems like we're almost in a holding pattern as to what are we allowed to do and not allowed to do, and what are we allowed to link in the description, not link. Like there's no clarity. Hopefully we get clarity, but I wanted just your thoughts on the situation and where do you think it's going to go? Like poker and YouTube, will it continue or are we going down a bad path?
Yeah, I mean, my guess is that it will probably get sorted and will probably be okay. Granted, I might not have any clue what I'm talking about. But I feel like there's so much content and, whether it needs to be age restricted or what, excuse me. I don't know if like you'll be able to just say, we can't have any gambling focused content. It just seems to be so broad of a topic and something that so many people are interested in that it doesn't seem like it would make any sense to me to just completely remove it, because it's not just poker that we're talking about. We're talking about like, if poker doesn't make sense to be on here, then obviously you would have to like look at all casino games and everything of the sort. And like, don't people like play like gin rummy and stuff like that for money sometimes? And
poker is the best case of all casino games. Like it's the one that deserves to be on the platform the most of any casino game, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and you got, there's all these people that like make these slot videos where it seems, I don't know if those have been, I don't know if they're suffering like the current struggles that we are as well. But, there's all sorts of people that like make just these videos of themselves playing slots. People like to watch other people playing slots, believe it or not. And there's just tons of content out there that it seems like it would be such a massive pull down to remove all of these things. So I'm optimistic about it. I think it'll get sorted with, I don't know, like, we've heard someone say that there's new guidelines coming. I don't know if that means for the people who are in charge of monitoring this or if it's guidelines for us as creators. It
Right.
remains to be seen what exactly this stuff means. It's just tough when like you can't have an actual conversation with somebody at YouTube to get on the same page with about these things.
Yeah.
We have a contact over there. I would love to be able to get together with him in Los Angeles. He said that he wants to get together at some point. I'm going out to LA once a month for the Meetup Games, so I'm available to have a chat if he's available. But I don't know. We're just going to wait and see for now.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think it's such a slippery slope between where the line ends for Google and YouTube and gambling content, because I do understand their concern of, we have 300 hours of video uploaded every minute on the site. We can't see it all, and we can't have scary stuff on the site because we'll get sued. Like, our name will be put together with these things. Now, poker isn't in that category, but it's like, it's close because of its proximity to gambling and because of its proximity to other areas. You know, it's closer than like a children's show would be. So bots have to determine what is okay and not okay. And then when they get it wrong, humans have to then be like, oh, the bot got it wrong or not. And then human error.
Right.
So it's just like, it's such a hard problem. Like, imagine 300 hours of video every minute and you need to figure out what's good or not good. Like, it's I really don't, I don't know how they do it.
I actually, I don't know how they do it either. I know that, I think I read that, like, Facebook has a team of like 30,000 or 50,000 people all over the world who basically are moderators of sorts. They're just monitoring content, to make sure it's Facebook approved. And there's like, these people have, sometimes these people have like PTSD type of, reactions as a result of like looking at all this stuff. They're like, they're on the front lines of just all the worst content in the world, basically. So, I don't know what the situation is at YouTube. If it's just the bots that flag the videos, or if the bots send it over to a person and then that person flags the videos.
Yeah.
Who knows? Sure. But it's obviously, like you said, it's definitely a monumental task to look after all this content. And if my hand graphics are, in every single video, that's probably a reason that it might get flagged. And then they see a link to like a training site in the description box. Maybe that someone sees that, doesn't realize that that's not a gambling platform. That's like an informational site.
I think that was happening to a lot of the videos. I think training sites were being flagged as problems.
I think that makes a lot of sense, especially for, there's poker's a foreign language to the vast majority of the world. So it's not unreasonable that someone would not know what that's about and pull it down. But I don't know. It would just be good to, like I said, have a proper medium form, long form conversation with someone just to make sure what's happening and whether it's going to be moving in the right direction or not.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like, I don't think you can take guys day trading off of YouTube, right? Like, you can't take stock market information off YouTube. Like the line will never be clear, but it's taking a step back. I think no matter who you ask, poker, the game that is broadcast on ESPN to the world, not being on YouTube just doesn't seem right. There's something wrong with it. So,
yep,
I'm with you, and I'm optimistic as well. Fingers crossed it works out.
Yes.
I forgot to ask you about Meetup Games earlier. So that's a format that changed in your vlog, because Meetup Games weren't a thing when you launched the vlog, and now it's like
Fair
it's
point.
a pretty big theme. So what's going on with Meetup Games? What are they? What, the whole thing?
Right. So the I guess like the the medium that is YouTube. So I'm making a video, edit it in my home office, post it on YouTube, people watch it, and then they leave comments or send DMs, and then I reply to those. There's no it's a digital platform, so there's no face-to-face interaction. And so we're all poker players, and we are often running in the same circles. So I thought, why not just get a bunch of these people together and have a fun night of poker where I'm not going to be wearing these things. Probably going to be a more social night. We're all sort of somewhat on the same page. I wouldn't say know each other, but like we all share something. It's like we're fans of these vids and stuff. And poker can be kind of a grindy setting a lot of the time. It's like it's supposed to be a social game. There's the thing is that there's different ways that you can play and approach poker, right? So you can approach it from the professional pursuit, and that's totally cool. You can be on your own mission. You can study on your own. You can show up to the table. You can wear headphones if you want. You can bring your iPad if you want. as long as it's within the rules of the poker room, that's cool. There's this other avenue in which you can enjoy poker, and which is like totally social. Again, coming back to like the home game with friends sort of a thing. And the meetup games are sort of a nod to that side of poker, where we're gonna get together, we're gonna splash around a little bit, we're gonna have some drinks. I think the drinks consumed is probably a little bit above average,
Right.
in our games. And like I said, we'll introduce some bomb pots, and we'll try to do some things that make it just a more fun social game. And we're all going to try to win, of course, but we're going to try and do some other things as well, like have fun and just hang out. And then we're also going to go to the bar afterwards. We're going to play for like 6 hours or something. And then we'll spend an hour or two over at the bar and just hang out and get away from the poker tables and just be social. So meetup games, all of that packaged into a fun day or two at hopefully your local casino.
It's good. It's a good idea. I like it. So, where are your next meetup games? Where are you going after this?
Next one on the calendar is Los Angeles, March 6th and 7th, the Gardens Casino. That's the spot that we're going once a month in LA. It's gorgeous casino out there, and they totally got the vision. A lot of casinos, they're still kind of sketched out about this whole bringing a camera into the casino and then putting it on your YouTube channel, and they don't get a chance to edit the video and all this stuff.
I saw that on your MGM video recently. Like, they just don't. This was the first one you've got done, right? This
yeah. So we had, we had like sort of worked with the Bellagio when they had their live stream, the Bellagio Pots. Brad and I hosted a game on there, sort of a meetup game, but not really, because we were limited to the one table. We had a must-move table. At the meetup games nowadays, we rotate. So it's Brad, Owen. If your viewers don't know, he also has a YouTube channel. It's kind of popular.
I want to get him on the show too. I want to get him here too, but I wanted to start with you.
So my fellow poker YouTuber Brad, Owen, and I, we'll switch tables every like 45 minutes or an hour, just so we can try and play with as many people as we can. And so yeah, this one at MGM Springfield was kind of like the first real meetup game that we've done with the MGM Corporation, which, they had to talk to the gaming board about this. So it's like, again, these two guys with cameras, they're going to be capturing people, and their faces are going to be in there, and the gaming action is going to be in there, and then they're going to post it online. So the poker room manager Adam Nash was he was our not cheerleader, but he was voicing it. He was our voice over there, and he got it done. So that was awesome, and we had a great turnout out there. I think the first day we had 14 tables worth of people, and the entire poker room was full to the brim. So good times.
Amazing. That's great. So you're going to LA, and then I interrupt you.
Yep.
What's after LA?
Next thing on the calendar after that is Chicago. There's a group there called Chicago Charitable Games, where they sort of rotate around the city. I think mostly it's in the suburbs, really, but different venues. Like each day of the week is a different venue, and then a portion of the revenue goes to different groups of people or different charities and things like that. So we'll be out there March. It's the last weekend of March, the last Saturday and Sunday of March. I think it's 28, 29. Not positive, but I think that's right.
Amazing. I would love to check it out. I'm a long way away from those spots. I missed you in London as well. You had one in the UK. What was the UK like compared to these US meetup games? I mean, what's the difference in poker between the two places?
Honestly, I thought it was on the tougher side. I thought the games were on the tougher side at that meetup game. I think that you probably will be able to give input on this as well, but like having access to online poker, as Europe has always had, I think can only contribute to the poker players getting better at the game, just because they can get so many more reps in. So yeah, I thought the games were a little bit on the tougher side, but I mean, we had like, again, an amazing turnout. That was our biggest event. It was 4 days long, and they didn't have enough dealers for us. They could have brought in more dealers. They had empty tables, but wait lists of like 50 people or something like that.
Wow.
So I think we had there was like 24 games going. I don't know if we get credit for every single game, but awesome turnout. And yeah, not the softest games.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think it's online poker, because that's my favorite part about online poker compared to live, is the ability to play so many poker hands. Like, if you really love the structure of poker and the game of poker, it's like the best because you get to play so much of it. There's that.
Sure.
But then, like, disposable income in the US too, just like is king. It's, people have the most money on average in the US compared to other countries. So I think that plays a factor too, like just in accessibility of being able to buy in for £100 or £200 or $100 or $200, etc.
Good point.
I'm glad that went well. That's good. I have a couple questions from Twitter. We put out an Ask Neeme on Twitter today, so I want to bring up a few of those before I get. Okay, so first one coming in from Zach Bedford at Bedford96 says, "What's your favorite country you visited? Would you consider coming to Scotland?" #Ask Neeme.
So I have actually been to Scotland before my college days were up. I did a study abroad semester. This was in the first semester of 2001. So we're going way back, but I am that old. 2001, I did a semester in London, and that was like the best time ever, basically. I only took like 9 credits worth of classes. I think I only had class on Tuesday and Thursday. I arranged my schedule so that I would only have class on those 2 days. And so London was like an amazing hub to get to like all over Western Europe, at least. So I went to like almost everywhere in Western Europe, and definitely made it up Scotland, went up to the Highlands, did all that stuff, and it was gorgeous. I have not played poker in Scotland. I would love to come back. And yes, I would definitely consider a return to Scotland. Favorite country that I've visited, probably Switzerland, just incredibly gorgeous. Got to do a couple different things there. Went bungee jumping there. That was an adventure. Went snowboarding there. Awesome. It was like the snowboarding that I was in Zermatt, and the runs were like just incredibly long. We took like this like mini train up the mountain, and stopped for lunch like partway down the run, which is crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah, I've never heard of that before.
So, I mean, there's so many countries in Europe that are just in their own way awesome. But yeah, Switzerland is definitely towards the top, if not the top.
Andrew, I just remembered this, man. I saw you tweet about skydiving the other day. Are you a daredevil? Like, what was skydiving like, man?
So Boosie led the charge with that one. So that was actually that was like a final. Well, I shouldn't say final because it makes it sound kind of possibly morbid, but it was a birthday present. I just had my 40th birthday. So Boosie got me this as my 40th birthday. We had talked about going skydiving. So she had been before. She went in like 2012 and she loved it. And this was kind of like a bucket list thing for me. So yeah, like I said, I'd done bungee jumping, had done the skydiving thing. I think those are, kind of similar, but definitely not anywhere near the same thing I've learned, because the skydiving thing was such a unique experience. It was, there's nothing like it. It was such a blast, but I was pretty terrified. I'm not going to pretend like I was, Mr. Daredevil, like all bold. No, I was, I was terrified. But I would do it again because it was so cool. It was awesome. Highly recommend.
Wow. Okay. Couldn't pay me enough. Just on the record, couldn't pay me enough. Bill Perkins, throw a number out. I'm saying no. There's just no chance.
No way. There's definitely a number. And what if your missus was like, we have to do this. This is the only thing I've ever wanted to do in my life, and I just need you to do this with me.
I'd take a ride up on the plane, and then I'd push her out. I'd push her out.
Well, the cool thing is that you're sort of like, you don't have to do any of the work. Like bungee jumping, I had another opportunity to do bungee jumping in, so Boosie's from South Africa, and gone there a few times, and she did bungee jumping when we were over there the last time, and I was like, I'm good. I've already done it. The problem is that like you have to jump, right? That's hard. You have to throw yourself off the ledge. In skydiving, when you're so it's tandem, right? You have the instructor with you. You're attached to him. He does everything. He literally like edges you up to the door of the plane, and then he's like, you don't even need to grab the bar. Don't do anything. I'm just gonna push you up there, and then I'm gonna shove you out. Right. So you're just along for the ride, Yeah. Taking the leap is the hardest part, but as long as you don't have to do that, I feel like I'm all right.
Yeah. Okay. That's intense, man. I'm nervous. My palms are sweating. Like my palms are sweating. We got another Ask Neeme here. Biggest pot won or lost? This is coming from Johnny G. Godsmark Johnny.
Yeah. So this question comes up a lot, and it's like, it's always so anticlimactic because I haven't like had any, massive like crazy shot takes in my poker days. So right. I'm like sort of, the mid stakes grinder guy on YouTube. And, it's like I played 5, 10, 20 PLO. I played the ante game on Live at the Bike, but I wasn't super deep. Like 5, 10, 20 PLO. There was, again, not incredibly deep in that game either. So it's only the biggest pot that I play is only gonna be around like, 7K or 8K or something like that. Nothing super sexy, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, that gets the heart going still. I think, that would get my heart going, but I feel you on that too. Like some people with insane numbers, but I think that's okay too. Like you don't have to glorify the big pots, do you? Like it's okay to not play big pots in the biggest games.
Well, I mean, I think it's kind of cool because I still think like the biggest poker that I've played is very much ahead of me. It's not like it's all behind me. So I'm definitely going to play higher stakes, and there will be some bigger pots. But so I guess just like keep checking and keep watching. You'll see it in the YouTube. You'll see it in the YouTube title on the video. It'd be like, biggest pot ever played! ! Must watch! ! And then you'll always know, and it's the new biggest pot that I've ever played.
Gotta put the clickbait. With, like, huge stacks. Yeah. Man, right. I cannot wait for the Andrew Neeme shot take videos and biggest pot videos. I'm gonna put it on my Google alert like Andrew Neeme biggest pot, and I'm just gonna wait for it. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I'm ready too.
All right, so we have a question here from Matt at King of the North. Hashtag Ask Neeme. Favorite brew? You're a beer guy, right? You like beer?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Tough question. I mean, so like there's one called Saint Bernardus, Belgian beer. ABT12 is the one in particular from them. That's definitely up there. The thing is that like there's just a ridiculous number of breweries all over the US in particular now. And it's funny because for the longest time, American beer was just basically thought of as shit beer.
Right.
We were known for like Budweiser, Bud Light, Miller Lite, all these like giant brands of lager that was not interesting whatsoever. Now I think we have like the best beer in the world. Granted, Belgian beer is still awesome, but there's so many different breweries with just amazing variety, and it's like it's such like a fun scene right now. And it's hard to like keep track of all these different beers because there's all these different IPAs, all these different stouts, all these different porters, and I'm sure like some are better than others, but like there's such a huge spectrum that it's so like each one is like incrementally different or better than the other. But it's so fun to like go to these different breweries and try them. And right. There's this brewery apparently. So we were just at MGM Springfield. We'll probably go back in August or so when it's warm. And there's this brewery called Treehouse that everyone's talking about, and people line up like sometimes for like a couple of hours just to get into this place. They don't have any distribution like to any bars or any stores. They only have their beer available there, and wow. People I guess they spent like $20 million into the development of the facilities and the grounds and stuff. So when you go there, it's like you're having an afternoon. Right. I don't know. I'm sure the beer is good, but is it like wait in line 2 hours good? I don't know about that. So yeah, that one Belgian beer is definitely up there. But I'm proud of how far the U.S. has come in beer world.
So if I give you $50 million and you're tired of poker in 10 years, would you open a brewery? Like, would you ever get into the business?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. If I, we've definitely talked about that a lot, whether it's like opening a bar or opening a brewery, because that's sort of like a theme in my videos as well, is stopping into like my favorite local watering holes, or trying somewhere that looks interesting when we go to a different city or whatever. And so yeah, I've always enjoyed that, and I don't know if it's like the best thing to do, like your first business to open up when you're not financially set either way, depending on the success of it. It's tough to say. I definitely have like an idea or two for a bar, but it's just tough to like suddenly move in that direction rather than, take these incremental routes in the poker world and in the poker content world.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've kept you for about an hour here. I wanted to end on just some goals. Where is the Andrew Neeme going? Like, what are you hoping to accomplish over the next year, over the next 5 years? Just a general sense for where your career is going.
So we definitely need to start playing the biggest pot that I've ever played, and keep pushing that envelope.
Yes.
So I definitely do not want to just play 2-5 and 5-10 like forever. It's tough when the vast majority of your poker play is the time that goes into that, or the time that's required for that is taken away and put into videos. But obviously I wouldn't have changed anything. Very happy with the way this YouTube thing has gone. But it's just tough to like, grind your way up in stakes as you might do when you are not editing videos and all those other things that go along with it. Traveling around to Meetup Games. We did play we had a 5-10-20 Meetup game in Los Angeles, and it went really well. Like, we got 5 tables worth of people together playing 5-10-20. So wow. We're happy with that. But LA might be a little bit specific to that. It's a big city, and there's big games that people play there anyway. So it's tough to like, when you're traveling all over hosting Meetup Games and stuff, it's tough to like I said, find the time to get into some bigger games somewhere. Aside from that, there's no blueprint to this thing, this content game. Not for me. I don't know. You seem like you might have more of a vision. You seem like you might be more of a vision man. But
I like it, but to my detriment. It's
really?
I wish it could be more in the now. So I'm learning from you.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe we can help each other out with our strengths and weaknesses here. But yeah, it's like we sort of react to what people like to see and what people want to do, and where might be a good idea for a Meetup game. And it's like, it's tough to know what exactly what we'll be up to in a couple of years, a couple of years prior to this, or 3 years prior to this, it would have been tough to envision what exactly this thing looked like. So I don't know. It's really tough. There's like a couple of ideas, which I have no idea whether we'll actually pursue them or not. But I wish I had a better answer. I honestly don't know.
That's good. I like it. I'm excited for Andrew Neeme's biggest pot ever. I'm excited for the clickbait, like my biggest pot, stacks, aces, maybe put aces and kings. The drill. The YouTube poker clickbait drill by now. Everyone's got it. I really appreciate you taking the time today, Andrew. Thank you very much. Where can people check you out? Plug your spots so that people know what to type into their browser after this podcast.
Yeah, usually just my name, Andrew Neeme. It's youtube.com/Andrew Neeme. Twitter is @Andrew Neeme. Instagram's a little weird. It's YAY Andrew, which I still regret to this day. I probably will change that at some point. Maybe, hopefully.
It's artsy, man. I like
weird. It. I think those are the main spots. And then we got the Meetup Games page is facebook.com/pokermugs. That's MUGS. And I believe it's the same on Twitter @PokerMugs.
Amazing. Great. Andrew, thank you so much. I appreciate the time. Until next time, man.
My pleasure, Jamie. Always good to connect with you. Always good to see what you're up to. And I will try to have a better background comparable to yours, maybe, hopefully, next time.
Cheers, man.
Later.
How cool is Andrew Neeme, right? So good. Thank you so much, Andrew, for taking the hour out of your day and speak with me. I look forward to having another conversation in the future, follow up and see what that new biggest pot is. So big thanks to Andrew Neeme. Now, before I let you all go this week, we have our weekly competition, #JSPokerHero. We give a ticket away to someone listening to the show. You are the show's representative for that week. We're hoping that we can get a show winner to actually win one of these big tournaments. So we're going to root you on. You're going to be our hero of the week. And you, of course, get to keep the prizes. So all you have to do to enter is use the #JSPokerHero and answer the following question. But before I give it to you, let's follow up on what has happened in the last couple weeks. Last week's competition winner was Chris Robinson, 81, on Twitter, who guessed the total amount of the leaderboards. There was a bunch of people that got it right, so it was a random guess. So he won a $215 Party Poker Million ticket. I had to report our JS Poker hero, Chris Robinson, did not make it through day 2, so no cash for him. Thank you for playing. I hope you enjoyed it. That's all right. We're going to have someone else be the hero and win the million, maybe this week. Now let's get to the question for this week's competition, and it's another party poker skill testing competition. We're going to test to see if you listened to the promotions going on at Party Poker earlier in the episode. So what you have to answer on Twitter with the #JSPokerHero is, how many points do you need to win on cash or fast forward tables to get into the daily cash boom tournaments? How many points do you need? It was earlier in the show. You can also find it on the promotions on the internet. Answer that with the #JSPokerHero, and one of you is going to win a $215 Party Poker Million ticket. You're going to represent us this Sunday, and with any luck, you're going to win the thing. That's going to be it for me this week. Thank you all so much for tuning into the show. Big thanks to Andrew Neeme for taking his time to speak with us. I'm looking forward to doing this again next week. But until then, we'll see you later.